Oh, very good. We're so close to Christmas.
I just realised I was muted. Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I'm your host, Geoff Scott, and I'm joined by Tony Tenzelati. How are you, Tony?
Ho ho ho! It's
This
nearly
is this is
Christmas.
the Christmas podcast. You can see in the background I have my oh yeah, you can see my fireplace is going in the background. Just ignore
Yeah,
the trans ghost shit going on right now. Trans-dimensional ghost shit going on right now.
yeah. Is your chair even real?
Yeah, you can see that.
Okay.
You can see the flames coming off the fire. It's got nothing to do with the red image I have on the screen right now.
Right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, I guess this is the Christmas podcast. I've called it the Geoff Awards because that is the only
Yep.
thing we'll be talking about this week because that's just a massive fucking news that I didn't get to talk about last time because the previous podcast happened before the Geoff Awards, but we recorded it late and there was already too much news.
Yeah.
But I said we got the Gatchy lights on, and I've got my Christmas background up. So Merry Christmas. Um,
Very.
this week we're
What?
going to be doing releases, talking about stuff that came out. Then we'll be going straight into trailers for the Geoff Awards because there was tons of stuff that came out. It was just I really liked the Geoff Awards. It was just here's an award trailer award trailer. It was like bomb bomb bomb. There was no like
Should
apart from God of War that the voice actor winning and stalling for Steam decks. It didn't feel like there was too many like Schlick micro bot whatever ad
well,
things.
I was gonna say that there was more trailers than awards, so why aren't we calling it the Jeff trailers?
Because he already has two trailer shows that he has.
Okay.
Because he already has like Summer Geoff Fest,
Yeah.
and then he also hosts something else. Geoff. What's the other one he hosts? He hosts the Summer Games Fest, and I think he also. I don't know if he hosts E3 as well.
Oh, for some of it, does he?
Yeah.
He did this year, did he? Oh, I
E3
can't
was
remember now.
cancelled, but he kept doing the Summer Geoff Awards
Mm.
because he started to be the guy who did the live coverage of E3 on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then he started the Game Awards, and then he started the Geoff Awards, the Summer Games Awards. Anyway, going back into topic. Oh, I found some royalty-free Christmas music to play. Should I just play this while we talk about releases?
I guess as long as it's quiet enough, I suppose.
Well, I'll see if anyone's watching and they can tell me. Anyway, let's move on. So, one thing that's come out since we were last on the podcast, Tony, Season 2 of Overwatch came out.
Okay, really?
Yeah, so this added the brand new tank Ramatra, along with a bunch of balance changes and new maps being added to the the map pool, as well as some old returning favorites. And then I think they changed the time of day on a bunch of them. I don't know if they rotated any out. Like Nepal is in the day. Oasis is in the daytime. Shambhali Monastery is a brand new map. I think it's one of the few brand new maps they brought back. Is it Relantra, the Italian one with the gondolas? They brought back Blizzard World, which is great if you're a Blizzard fan because it just has so much
Yeah.
random Blizzard stuff on it. I think you saw me playing it or something where
Yeah.
it was just
like,
like
oh, there's the Nexus. There's some
you have to walk out of the Hearthstone Tavern to get to the World of Warcraft arena to go to the Protoss like pylon StarCraft.
Oh yeah,
stuff, to go to the Heroes of the Storm
yeah.
arcade.
Because I saw a siege tank first. I think there's there's like a whole Protoss section behind it.
But the big thing was they added the new tank Ramatra and the new map. I like the new map. I think I haven't played it too much. I've been trying to play it because it's the way quick play works. It's just a random pool, and I think I've played it attack once and I've played it defense like 10 times. I'm going insane with Blizzard's matchmaking right now. I don't know why, but I always get put on defense in quick play rather than attack, and I don't know what it is. It's not even like a memory bias. I started like marking down when I was put on defense and when I was put on attack, and I am like massively favored in defense. I don't know why, and I don't particularly like playing defense. My theory is that that this is just pure speculation, but
just a game theory.
Yeah, my theory is if you have better quick play MMR, you're more likely to be put on defense. That's my theory.
But isn't that incredibly unfair though? Like, shouldn't it be like 50-50? Like, try and
I think you're much more likely to win on attack. And if I was Blizzard, I would put higher rated players on defense because that's more likely to make a more balanced game.
I guess, but like, switching it around would. I don't know.
This is just complete fucking conjecture at this point. But I don't know, because usually when I'm on the game, I'm like massively ahead of everybody else on the scoreboard. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it sounds like I am.
Just with your friends.
Yeah, or just on my own.
Oh, even on your own, you're so okay. Fair enough.
I find because I don't play ranks that much because like. With Blizzard games, they always have secret MMR for every single game mode, so there has to be some sort of quick play MMR. Because you notice it, like when I'm playing by myself, I usually get matched with better opponents, but then I'll play with some friends who've just started playing Overwatch with Overwatch 2, and you can see the difference in the opponents you start playing against. Like they'll just start standing still or. Looking down at the ground and stuff like that.
Playing like me when I play Winston.
I like to call them robots or NPCs. So they don't really know what's happening.
They got no like sense of like the game. Like they've got no game sense.
Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but I think it would be interesting to look into players MMR
versus what you match with.
Specifically in quick play, because quick play is the only game mode where you don't play both sides. In competitive, you take it in turns to play both sides of a map. But in quick play, you only play one side.
Oh, you only play one game and then quick play the next one.
Is Overwatch quick play skill-based? I'm fairly sure it's skill-based. Yeah, it has a hidden MMR. Is Overwatch quick play defense or attack skill-based? I don't know. I'm going to have to look into this later, but I don't know. Interesting. What do we have next? So, I'll talk about Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is, I'm still playing it. I'm still having a lot of fun playing with people who never played Overwatch, playing with people I used to play Overwatch with, and just playing Overwatch 2. I think it's still really fun. The new character is interesting. I'm glad they released him in the state that they did, and also confused they released him in the state they did.
Right?
On the one hand, when a new character's released, you kind of want him to be like, bam, he has an impact on the game. He just completely changes it. But the way it works is I can't play Ramattra right now because he's on the Battle Pass, which you have to pay for if you don't want to grind to level 45 or something to get him. So people who buy the Battle Pass get him immediately. But at the moment, Ramattra's kind of in the middle of tanks. He's not too great, I would say.
Right.
Which I think is good if he's a character. He's disabled in rank for 2 weeks as soon as he launches in order to help with balance. And he's not like he's released and he's the most broken character in the game, which is what a lot of games usually do. They make the new characters really, really powerful to make them more enticing to play and buy skins for and stuff like that.
Which is terrible.
But he's interesting. I think he's one of the first. He's called like a hybrid tank, where half of the time you're like a ranged character, and then the other half you turn into like a big beefy tank. Interesting. Roadhog's become incredibly strong. I find it really funny that they have changed nothing about Roadhog from the start of the game, and from the start of Overwatch 2, everyone was saying he was shit, and now they're saying Roadhog's broken and needs nerfs, and the character has literally changed nothing about him.
Wait, what's happened then? I don't understand. Is the other
other characters got nerfed, I think is what happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm going to say now, balancing is difficult. I know people like say, oh, they should balance this. It's like, balance is something devs do all the time. Like, just...
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. It's never done.
There's a new Christmas event that just came out. It's pretty boring. I don't like it.
It's pretty... Just like all Christmas events then, that's good.
You can get a Brig skin if you do a bunch of challenges. No one plays Brig, she's shit. Or at least she's not very good at the low levels. No one really understands how to play Brig. But yeah, Overwatch 2, I'm still having fun with it. I will report in if there's more stuff about it. Auto Chess came out on the 7th of December. Do you remember Auto Chess?
I do. I do remember Auto Chess. I still don't entirely understand it, but yes.
Oh, my friend Jesse says I agree. The Christmas event is quite boring. Yeah, it's just not very interesting. Dota Auto Chess. It was a mod for Dota. It sparked the entire auto battler genre.
Yeah.
TFT is insanely popular. Still, the League of Legends one. Hearthstone Battlegrounds is by far the most popular mode in Hearthstone.
Really?
Over
Okay, so it's still like a huge thing.
Yeah. If you go to Twitch, it'll be like one guy playing Constructed and then Battlegrounds.
Right.
There's still like some big streamers who prefer Constructed, but it's just Battlegrounds is like the overwhelming majority of streams for Battlegrounds.
Right.
For Hearthstone. And I really fucking love Battlegrounds. I think it's one of the best auto battlers out there as well. But Auto Chess started it all. They were a Dota mod. They were like, how do we monetize this? Let's make our own game. So the path they went down was, let's make it a Epic Store exclusive. So they made an Unreal Engine 4 version of it that was an Epic Store exclusive. Nobody fucking played it. Everyone moved on to the really polished TFT and Hearthstone Battlegrounds from Blizzard and Riot.
Yeah.
And then they made a mobile version, which I think was a little bit popular because a lot of people like to play these sort of games on their phones. And then they were like, why don't we straight port the mobile version of Auto Chess to Steam? And here you have the mixed reviews that we have now.
What? Is this why you need to have like sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook, or sign in with Dragon?
Yeah, so it's tied to a Dragon Nest account. Because I think the Auto Chess guys they're Chinese, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, everyone's just complaining that they just straight up ported the mobile version to PC, put it on Steam, and called it a day. They were just like, yeah, you can play it on Steam now. It's just the mobile version, but on PC, with all the awful mobile UI. Yeah. I don't know what... This just seems like... I'm trying to think of another example of a game that just completely started a trend and then died. The only thing that's coming in my head right now is PUBG and Fortnite, but PUBG wasn't this awful, and it's still not this awful. But it is... It's nowhere near as big as like when you look at like Fortnite, right? In terms of like player base and impact and stuff like that.
I can confirm that they're from China. Okay.
So yeah, that was interesting. Portal with RTX came out on the 8th of December. I've played it. I've talked about it. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about again.
The new RTX Crisis benchmark.
Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about because it came out and everyone gave it awful reviews.
Oh, what? Why? Because it didn't run properly. It didn't run well.
Because people didn't understand how to get it to run properly. I think the problem is that they showed it off at 120 FPS on a 4090 with DLSS 3 on.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I'm going to be able to run this on my 2060. And it was like, nope, you're not going to be able to run,
Well, is this the first game where like literally everything is like rendered through like ray tracing? Was that everything else?
It's a path tracing game.
Yeah.
The amount of bounces you can have.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you can have like I think it's got like 4 bounces or something. So you can have a
That's-
bounce
Yeah.
to a light, to a light, to a light, and that can bounce back onto the original light as well, which creates like
Yeah, because it comes from the
crazy
camera, so see where it's-
computational
yeah.
things. But basically,
And that's like exponentially, like each one is like an exponent increase. Like 1 bounce is like 1, then like the next 2 bounces to the squared, 3 bounces is cubed. It just gets crazy.
I was able to get running the 2080 Super, and what I did was I turned the DLSS from quality to ultra performance, and I was able to get it to playable. I think
wasn't Digital Foundry saying like the DLSS like was really good like in this game? Like almost all of them were useful and like not terrible.
Nvidia actually went out of their way to make recommended graphics settings individually for the cards.
Oh, okay.
So you can go on here and you can go like the 2060. So they went all the way down to the 2060, the lowest card that could potentially support this game, and they said, "Hey, here's the recommended set." Because you can go, you press like Alt X and it opens a menu.
Yeah.
This music's pissing me off. Some woman poorly singing a Christmas song. Joy to the World Jazz. Okay.
Look, it's not it's copyright free. You can't blame them too much.
So it just goes to show like what DLSS level you want to. None of them recommend ultra performance, which I find kind of interesting. A lot of them recommend.
Even on 1490.
4090 is not on there.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you need optimized settings for a 4090. The 4080 is not on there either.
Is it not? Okay.
But these are the GeForce Experience optimal settings for 1080p, and this goes from the 2060 to the 3090 Ti.
Right. Okay.
One thing. So you were saying you were saying like you thought the 2080 Super was around the 3060 Ti.
Yeah, somewhere between the two is what I could see from other benchmarks. Is that not true? Is that not holding for this game?
Well, the interesting thing is, so for the 3060 Ti, it says for the 2080 Super you actually want the super resolution on balanced, whereas on the 3060 and the 3060 Ti it says performance. So that would say, oh, the 2080's got a more beefy rasterization performance in just more resolution, but on the 2080 it's telling you to turn more of the ray tracing down, and on the 30 series cards it's telling you to turn the ray tracing up, so it has like the stronger ray tracing cores, which is
I will say
what I was saying before.
It's really difficult to know like how good something is at like ray tracing testing, because like almost always you need like rasterization. It's like you kind of got 2 bars, and then like all you see is in like a third bar that kind of combines it in a weird way. So it's really difficult to like tell what's doing what.
But
I have like a pure performance of one thing.
I have played through the entirety of Portal now with RTX, and I can say it is playable on a 2080 Super. I'm not saying I would recommend it. I was getting like one level of the game was like unplayable, even on like super resolution. I had to like force my way through it because it was so like laggy at one point. Like, I think when you get later into the levels, it gets like a lot worse with all the turrets and moving stuff on the screen.
Didn't someone say that? I don't know who said this, but in the final boss, writing got weirdly warped.
I was I'm trying to remember I fought the final boss. What writing?
On like some of the signs. Like,
and some of the screens were like the timers. Yeah. That's true. But I was also playing on 1440p with DLSS, so I wasn't native. I was like half or below half, but these are recommended for 1080p. And I would say
they don't scale. Okay.
You probably want to be playing on 1080p rather than obviously not native 1080p, but you want to set 1080p as your like desired resolution and then try and scale to that point. I was playing on sub 1080p but scaling up to 1440p, and that's probably where I could have turned it down, even though I was using the recommended settings for the 2080 Super. Anyway, interesting. Seeing this game makes me just makes me more want to get a more powerful GPU to be able to run this stuff. And I think a lot of people's complaints about this was it's just an advert to get you to want to buy a 4090, which in some ways is kind of true, but it's also the future of gaming.
I'm actually more excited. I generally think I don't know how accurate this is, but I really want this to be like almost like a benchmark. Like say like AMD is making a new card. I almost want them to run this internally to see what they can get like on this game to try and like optimize, because like I feel like this is obviously it's very NVIDIA centric because that's what they've been thinking about. But I'd still be curious. Yeah, I to me this is like a really cool ray tracing benchmark.
Yeah, I mean, a
And
lot
you
of
can
people
turn like some parts of the ray tracing off. Like if you turn off like the walls, it like you can. I don't know. I find it curious. I find it great like how customizable it is. I find that really cool as well. Like just
yeah, I
that's
think
really
like
great.
the problem is when you launch the game on a non-40 series card, it tries to run it at like the higher settings, but like this is what ray tracing can do, which is obviously. But it's like I think a lot of people were opening the game, trying to run it at DLSS quality mode, which is always great. In terms of image quality, is next to native, and you get a massive performance benefit. But the performance benefit you need from a fully path traced game is insane to a point where you're going to need to be playing on those ultra performance, and balanced on these lower end cards.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people understood. I think a lot of these people who left these reviews, they went back and they set their resolution to 1080p and they followed the recommended settings from NVIDIA. They would see a massive performance in performance.
If they've got these settings, can the game not auto detect these and like actually set these settings for them like by default?
Yes,
because I think a lot of people just want to like pick up the game. This is like I think a lot of people do this, like not just Portal here, but like pick up a game and just like want the settings to almost be like ready for them, and then they'll tweak it slightly from there.
Well, that's the problem with PC, and that's where like shader compilation issues come in. Every single person's PC is completely different, and it's almost impossible to make optimized settings for a specific PC, because this is this is giving you optimized settings for the graphics cards, and obviously graphics cards are super important here when it comes to stuff like ray tracing and path tracing, especially because your GPU is going to be doing a brunt of the work, but you're going to have a much different experience if you're playing this with, I don't know, like a top-end Intel or Ryzen CPU rather than playing it with a 10-year-old like CPU.
But it's starting at high though. Like that still seems sus. Like why not start it on low?
I wouldn't say it's starting at a high. It's starting at a. I'd say starting at quality is a good baseline for most people to go. This is what it's supposed to look like.
I would still say
then you're tweaking.
I get this like full of problems. I would still say like trying to like have some sort of idea and set.
Well, I think that's where the mixed reviews have come in, because they disagreed on this idea, which is a shame.
But the thing is, they don't know the technology. Like you have to really be like understanding what it is. Like even
I think the problem is most people with 20 series, 30 series cards, even 40 series cards, they don't understand the fundamental technology behind the cards. They just go.
So you can't expect them to change.
I want my games to run fast.
Yeah.
My game didn't run fast. This game sucks. Is like
I think maybe
what a lot of people
almost like a graphics tutorial in the game might be useful. It's like, oh, here's the things you might want to think about changing.
Oh, like dev commentary, but for like RTX. That would be cool.
Yeah, but like as you start the game, it's like, oh, here's some. You might want to think about get Gabe Newell to do it. Just get him to do a voiceover of like what sayings you want to change.
Let's move on. Anno 1800 came back to Steam on December 8th. What do you think about this? Tell me you're an Anno 1800 player.
I can't remember the coming back thing. Like what was going on?
It said it's back on Steam.
It's back on Steam.
Was it on Steam at one point? Because it says released on April 2019. And I think most of the other games that are now on Steam say they're released on the day that they released on Steam, not the day they're released outside of Steam. Because
is this one of those things where like Ubisoft like posted like had like a page created but did never made it
Because
public.
I clicked on a like Twitter thing for Anno 1800 and it said, "We're back."
As far as I'm aware, this is like the first time it's on Steam because I would have bought it on Steam otherwise.
Somebody said Anno 1800 locks original Steam users out of buying DLC bundle. You took a look back at Anno 1800 was originally able to be pre-ordered on Steam from February 26th to April 16th. Yeah, so it was very briefly pre-orderly available.
But then you
Steam.
couldn't then buy it on Steam afterwards.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
I remember this now, yes.
It's back on Steam, kind of technically.
Right, it's back, guys.
Guys, it's back.
It's like releasing a game and having a feature now with new stuff. Is that you just released the game? This kind of reminds me of that. No, this is good. It looks like all the DLC is here as well, and it's currently 50% off on the DLC and 67% off on the game. So that's pretty good.
Mm.
What the hell is Year 4 Complete Edition? What?
Yeah, but apparently they were saying that people who had the original Steam edition were locked out of buying the DLC.
I assume it's a configuration error. That bugs need to be fixed, I would assume. But...
So it seems like we talked about Assassin's Creed Valhalla came back recently from the Ubisoft coming back to Steam wave now, where they realised that nobody wants fucking Uplay or to use Ubisoft Connect. So they're like, well, we'll just go back to Steam with Ubisoft Connect, and that way people will be tricked into using Ubisoft Connect.
So my original because I bought, I think 2017. I know 2017. This is like 10 years ago now. They came out, but I think it was on Steam, and I think it still is. But it had to launch through Uplay, so I just bought it on Uplay because I hated.
Yeah,
I can't remember what other experience I had, but it was awful.
Uplay has become Ubisoft Connect now. If you're confused,
yes,
but
I renamed it to Uplay.
Yeah.
I think I changed the logo back as well, or the icon, sorry, because I fucking hate the new icon. It looks awful.
Why would you have an icon for it? That's my question.
When you launch it, it has an icon, like the executable icon.
Oh, okay, right.
I changed it because you can just like change
my experience with
configuration.
My experience with the fucking Ubisoft Connect recently was fucking Uno and trying to get the DLC for Assassin's Creed 4 to work, and it never fucking working because Uplay is cancer.
Yeah, but I would rather Uplay by itself than having like Steam Connect for Uplay and not working. Like I can't remember what the game was, but before Anno 2017, I had so many issues. Like, no, I'm just gonna buy it on Uplay because this is awful. Yeah, it's just these third-party launches. I agree. Uplay is awful.
Technically, you could launch this directly on a Steam Deck, but then it would still have to go through the Ubisoft Connect launcher, which would probably break it.
I've seen even worse. Apparently, de novo anti-tamper is active.
Mm-hmm.
So that would even more break it. I don't know why you need this for a fucking casual multiplayer game.
So you may be going, wait a minute, this game, as you'll see with every single Ubisoft game, doesn't support cloud saves or Steam achievements. That's because they're done through Ubisoft Connect. So you cannot use the Steam version of these. You have to... Essentially, every Ubisoft game you play that's single player is online because you have to log into Ubisoft Connect, which is fucking awful experience.
I don't know why they have to like gatekeep the save files. It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Anno 1800 being back on Steam?
And it's good, but it still sounds like I'd recommend not buying it on Steam because connecting Steam account to Uplay, in my experience, has been awful. But your mileage might vary.
Choo Choo Charles came out on December 9th. This is the horror train game that I feel like is...
Inspired by Skyrim mods, yeah?
Yeah, it's been the meme game. I have not looked at the reviews. Let's have a quick look now, see what people think. People are saying it's a short, sweet, and goes to the point, a fantastic little horror game. So it seems like it's a short little horror game. So it seems like people are about 4 hours to play it, sort of thing, based on the reviews.
Yeah.
Very fun game, and the fact that IGN gave this 4 out of 10 proves they are a dead corporate site. Well, I don't know about that. But
Wait, what?
It,
Who's a dead corporate site?
IGN, apparently.
Okay.
Average Choo Choo Charles player. This is an ASCII of GigaChat. I don't need to read more to know that, but I'll show you anyway. Okay. It seems pretty positive from the people that played it. There's about 5,000 reviews, so 88% positive ratings. That's cool to see.
Looks like 3 to 5 hours seems to be about the average one I'm seeing here.
Interesting. Maybe I'll get.
It says on long to beat 2 hours 24 minutes.
Maybe I'll pick this up in a sale. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's only selling quite cheap relatively, like from like a.
Shop Goblins came out, which is the brand new David Szymanski game. If you don't know, David Szymanski is the mind behind Dusk, the great boomer shooter, and stuff like Iron Lung, the weird like underwater horror game. He has like a very distinct style of games, and he makes a lot of cool boomer shooter stuff. This is another boomer shooter, but it's being called a bite-sized FPS. So the idea of this is it takes about an hour to beat, but it's just meant to be like a very much condensed, packed experience of fun for an hour. It's not too expensive. I think it's about £3, and it's just like a condensed like little FPS. I think it could be pretty interesting to play. It's got very positive. It's got overwhelmingly positive reviews from the 600 people who have played it. Yeah. That's what's going. What do you think about these condensed games? The idea of specifically trying to make a game that's short and sweet and doesn't cost as much as a fully priced game.
Well, I think this is much cheaper than a fully priced game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past I've had problems with these ideas because they didn't charge it like still like £15. I'm like, well, you've made it short and sweet. I get you put a lot of effort in, but I think people do like. I get like
What do you think?
Money per hour is not a good metric, but like there still is a consideration.
What do you think about like Shadow Warrior 3 costs £31 and is about 4 hours long? Do you think that's a good deal? Just if we were just going to go purely based on its monetary value.
I don't know. I think I personally would like it longer for that price. But I don't know how like good the experience is, and because there is a thing is like I know a bit like there's like extreme like game plus like you always complete the game, you can play the game again. Like I hate that. To me, if a game has a good story, I want to just play it again normally. So like that's my idea of replayability. So if it's like so good, I want to replay it again. Like I think that's okay. But I think 4 hours is still. I don't know. Again, I haven't played it. Maybe it's like extraordinary.
Yeah, because we've seen like games that are very replayable, but quite simplistic in how they look. Because like Vampire Survivors was massively popular this year because of its costing about £3. Being
the
very
story
simplistic,
stuff is,
but also
just if the story itself is only 4 hours, it's kind of a little different. Like if you have an endless mode, it's like that's like your appeal. Like you can get away with that.
But I think
this is reasonable to me.
I think the trick with endless modes is giving the player a reason to keep playing and making the core gameplay loop really fun.
Having core gameplay loop is really fun and customized when like thinking about things and like, I want to try again but differently, or I can do that again but better.
Right.
I think in terms of this, like, if this is like a short story, action packed thing for like this, I think to me it's the best of both worlds. Like if it is like good gameplay, it's short, and the price is right to me. So I think that's good.
Right, look, so
that's the other thing with digital goods. You can charge almost anything as long as enough people buy it. Like it will eventually make sense.
Next up, December 13th, High on Life came out. This seems to be. It has very positive from the 2,000 reviews, but critics seem to hate this game. From what I read, it seems to be being critically panned, but audiences seem to love it. It seems to be like a big divide between critics and players.
Maybe one of the things that critics don't like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, so if you don't know, this is Squanch Tendo Games. It's Justin Roiland, who is the voice and co-creator of Rick and Morty. He's done a lot of other games that I've enjoyed. I'm a fan of his other games, Rick and Morty VR. Accounting Plus is another one I really enjoyed. He's also done another VR game called Trover Save the Universe, which I have not played, but it looks really, really interesting. Is there any other games he did? I think that's about it. But this is the brand new one, and the reason I was really interested in this is, I'm a big fan of Hello Puppets, which is a VR game where you have a hand puppet that talks to you, and it's like this weird mix of comedy horror, where it's very funny but also kind of creepy. This is taking an idea of a gun that talks to a comedic gun that talks to you. But making it into an FPS, and I love FPS games, so I was like, "Oh, this is right up my alley," sort of thing. I think the biggest, like, the best way I saw it broken down was somebody said like the pros of this game are it has Rick and Morty humor. The cons of this game is it has Rick and Morty humor. It's like if you like that sort of stuff, you will probably like the game. If you don't like that sort of stuff, you probably won't like the game. I mean, is probably the easiest way to put it. I think the shooter stuff seems competent, but not particularly great. It seems okay. It seems like the core of the game is the comedic aspect. I mean, one of the things I thought was really cool was essentially there's about like 3 or 4 B movies that just play in their entirety in the background of the film, they just got the rights to these old like 80s B movies. They're like, let's put the entire movie in there. And I know you and me are both big fans of these people. They got the guys from Red Letter Media to do a commentary track over one of the films. Like they had Rich and Mike talking over them, which was like, that's hilarious. Like that makes me want to play it just to experience that.
Does that explain why we saw Rick and Morty stuff in that 10-minute video they made recently?
Yeah, I think
that was like combination.
Well, that was the culmination of their weird half in the bag intros, where Justin Roiland. But I think Rich and Mike have done a lot of other stuff with Psychic Pebbles. They've done I think that Mike is a reoccurring character on one of his shows, so they've worked with animators a lot before, so it makes sense that they would work with Justin Roiland as well. I think he's also worked with him as well and other stuff, so it's pretty interesting to see. I really want to play this. It looks really fun. I don't think it's supposed to be. Speaking of length, I don't think it's supposed to be like too long. I think you're going to get out of it what you put. Like I would probably play it really slowly because I'd just be watching all the movies and the commentary tracks and stuff. But I think if you're someone who's just going to go from start to finish, it's maybe like 4 to 6 hours or something. But it depends how you're going to play it, sort of thing.
It says average playtime is 6 hours 39 minutes. I don't know if that's. I guess that's people who are watching watching a lot of the stuff.
At the moment, it's £46, and because I think one of the biggest reviews as well was this game's really, really good, but it's not like $60 good. Right. But the cool thing about this game is I believe it's on Games Pass, so that's like a huge, huge benefit to the game. It's like you can just get games if you have Games Pass. You want to try out Games Pass, you can just play this game without having to buy the full game, which I think is probably a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
City Skylines African Vibes came out on December 13th. Okay. Have you played this one?
No, I haven't. I'm going to slightly change this narrative to a whole new set of DLCs have come out for December.
So I clicked on this because I was just looking through releases on SteamDB, and I was like, oh, City Skylines African Vibes. That's a new map pack that gives you a bunch of African elephants and cities and trees to play around with in City Skylines. And you stopped me and said, no, that's a radio station.
Yes. So it's a traditional African music radio station. To clarify, each radio station also has a radio host. So it's not that many lines, but every few songs you have adverts popped in and as if you're listening to a real radio.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. That's kind of why I like these. I want to hear the radio hosts. Interesting.
Is there any other City Skylines stuff that actually came out that you want to talk about?
So in this wave, this is they just
the financial districts.
Yeah. So I was gonna say just quickly, other stuff came out mid-November, and they just squeezed in this next one. The financial district is the actual DLC, a smaller DLC. It's a £5.80 DLC instead of like a £10 one.
You can get a Bitcoin tower.
Yeah,
Invest in the stock market.
Well, you can build banks and you can start investing in it and like storing your money to get money back. I'm sure it's the bullshit towers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's some stuff with it. But in one of the speaking of like the radios and adverts, like one of them is like Banhammer Banks is like an advert, and like they just like come up with a load of bullshit like, oh yeah, we take your money and we grow it and give you more money. It's like so I think there's like a reference there which I think is funny. But no, this is really cool. Like I think just like be able to like do more with like your downtown areas, I think is great. Like with your offices and stuff, like having a financial district makes a lot of sense. People seem to be like giving it good reviews, which is better than the plazas and promenades one, which is still mixed. So I guess this is this doesn't really do much. That isn't promising to do very much, from what I understand. So, and it is smaller. I think people did kind of misunderstand plazas, but I will be getting it soon, considering it looks like the sales are now active. 20% off plazas and promenades.
There it is. Time to invest.
Now's the time.
Is it time to invest in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt? Because on December 14th, they had their next gen update came out. There is now ray tracing in The Witcher 3. I haven't played this yet. I've heard mixed things about the update. Some people are like, yeah, it works fine. Some people are like, this is constantly crashing my PC. Apparently, CJ Projekt Red has put out a statement saying, we are aware that PC players are having issues because of the release of the update. We are actively investigating all the reports and will be providing an update on particular issues. From what I saw, so they already put out a statement earlier saying this will break every mod when we release it. I don't know if we talked about this, but they gave out like a mod list of what mods it was going to incorporate into the official release. Not only did it incorporate all like the HD texture pack mods directly into the game, the combat rebalance mod is now officially integrated into the game, which I think is pretty interesting. That even CJ Projekt Red looked at The Witcher 3 and went, yeah, the combat kind of sucks in this game.
Yeah.
But the reports have been PC game crashes, low ray tracing performance on Intel GPUs, as well as an issue where players who own the game in Origin were unable to update it. So it hasn't launched without a technical hitch, but your performance will very much vary depending on your system and how you're playing it. But it seems like based on the people who've been playing it recently, who've been able to get it to work, seem to be enjoying it. Which is cool to see.
It's like an excuse for them to play like a really good game again with like new graphics and stuff.
I find it funny when you see someone doing a recent review and they've got like 180 hours, and it's just like, oh, there's someone who's played it before, but come back to leave another review for the next gen update, which I think is cool. People are coming back just to say it's the greatest game of all time.
Yeah,
it's a great. What's your? I don't even know if you've played the next gen update. You're just re-putting a review to say, yeah, I really liked this game when I played it 10 years ago. It's probably the same. That's not useful information to me.
Yeah, I assume that how I'm not talking about it, they're not talking about it. So
anyway. They added Henry Cavill's pet came to The Witcher 3 in the next gen update. If you don't know, Henry Cavill played The Witcher in the Witcher Netflix show, and then he left the Witcher Netflix show to go and be in the next Superman film, and then they decided that they were going to do a young Superman film, and then they no longer wanted Henry Cavill. And then people are like, "Oh, poor Henry Cavill," but don't worry. Henry Cavill is now going to star in a Warhammer 40k series at Amazon.
Yeah,
you don't know.
You put in.
Henry Cavill is like a massive Warhammer fan based on what he's been posting in like social media, and people are very hyped about this. One, Henry Cavill's a good actor. Two, he seems to be like a massive Warhammer lore nerd. And three, not only has he got a big role in this, he is signed on as an executive producer, meaning he would have some sort of say in how the show goes, which is different to how it was on the Netflix show when the reports are he was very much about staying faithful to the books, and the Netflix writers were like, "We don't care about the books. We want to make our own
we haven't
shit."
even read the books.
Yeah, but
That's hearsay, but I kind of know the gist.
as someone who's been playing a lot of Warhammer games recently and been getting more into Warhammer, I'm like, this is really cool to see. I think this could be really, really good. That being said,
okay, go on.
no, I'm just going to say, that being said, I have also watched Star Trek Picard
Okay.
this year, and I've also watched The Rings of Power from Amazon, and I don't know. My
Did you
friend,
pay Amazon for Picard? They just
no,
hosting it from.
they were hosting it from
Paramount.
CBS, but
Yeah,
it has that vibe of other Amazon original shows where they take an IP, get a bunch of people who have no idea what they're doing, talk in riddles the entire time, and just completely ruin the fans' interpretation of the source material.
I will say
because
my expectations are slightly higher because Henry Cavill is like an executive producer.
But this year, I was watching this. I was watching Picard. Me and you were watching Picard. Our friends got to see Star Trek be destroyed for us in front of our eyes.
What do you mean? It's the best Star Trek show they've ever seen.
I was watching Rings of Power with a couple of my friends who are big Lord of the Rings fans. It was very funny to watch Lord of the Rings be destroyed for them. Now, an Amazon show about Warhammer's coming out. My friend Matt is a huge Warhammer fan. I am so excited to see Warhammer being destroyed for my friend Matt as we watch it together on Amazon Watch Party.
I will say, from the least people I'm subscribed to, the Warhammer people that I'm subscribed to seem to be excited for this. Admittedly wary, but they're excited that it could be good. Like, and it's better than not having it.
If my confidence for this, Henry Cavill is going to be in a Witcher show with executive producer credit, massive.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon. I don't have any faith in Amazon.
No. Will there be over budget, overspending, and mismanagement? Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, I mean, what was the last great Amazon original thing they did?
They tend to, okay. I don't know if you count this because this wasn't Amazon, but they were willing to pay for this. They paid for the Expanse last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts because obviously it's a different studio, but they did believe in it, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a sci-fi thing, and then it went to.
Yeah, the thing is, it was always in separate studios. So Sci-Fi originally funded this development, this studio, and then it's like, well, Sci-Fi don't want it anymore. The Netflix then bought it. And there's like a Netflix original, and then it's like, actually, we don't want to fund it anymore. So they have to then find a new buyer. Then Amazon was the one that stepped up, and apparently that's because Jeff Bezos really likes the show.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, I found one. The Boys. The Boys is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, The Boys. That's good. But I just want to clarify, this is all a confusing mess because, like, if you actually look at what studio does what, it's like who actually owns what and does what. It's very confusing.
I've just looked through the entire list of Amazon. Yeah, it's The Boys. That's
The Boys. That's it. Well, I'm hoping it's as good as The Boys. Let's say that. I'll put it that. I'll say that.
Yeah. Okay. And then finally,
do we know anything about who's actually working other than Henry Cavill, though? Like, do we know writers? Do we know directors? Do we know anything else?
So it's just the statement said. Cavill said the opportunity to shepherd the cinematic universe, blah blah blah. All the hard work put in by Vertigo, Amazon, and Games Workshop to make this happen.
Okay. Hopefully, the Games Workshop sent some of their top nerds out to inform the.
Well, Games Workshop has basically sold the TV rights to Amazon now with Henry Cavill.
But they still might have people they can refer to and things. We don't know how they do it until after the fact.
Who is making the Warhammer show? It just says I don't think we know yet, to be honest with you. I'm trying to look it up, but it just seems like it's in Amazon's court now who they decide to give the production to, so we'll have to wait and see.
They're in charge.
And then last up we have Immortals Phoenix Rising has come to Steam. And this is a game I was really interested for a really long time because I thought it looked like a really interesting Breath of the Wild game, essentially.
Yeah.
But with like different RPG mechanics, different like puzzle stuff. It looked like it was doing like this weird god thing, but with kind of the Breath of the Wild style, and I thought it looked really cool, but it was like an Epic exclusive for the longest time, and I was like just waiting for it to come to Steam. And then it launched on Steam, and it was super cheap on Steam, and I was like, yeah, I'll just pick it up. That's what I did. Did you pick this up as well when it went on sale?
I own the game.
There's like £12 for the base game, and it was like £20 for the game and all the DLC.
Yeah. It's 75% off, and the gold edition bundle is like even more. Well, there's only 50% off the DLC, so it's even better. Like on the bundle.
But it seems like everyone on the Steam page is saying this game is really fucking good, and then half the other people are saying, "Fuck Ubisoft, fuck Uplay, fuck having to connect to Uplay, fuck not having achievements on Steam."
I don't recommend this on the Steam Deck.
Fuck not being able to play, offline or having to connect to Ubisoft's cloud servers, stuff like that.
It does. There's some technical issues apparently, from what I'm reading here. Like some people saying the audio's out of sync and like some of the cutscenes aren't working for them. But yeah, my understanding is like I didn't know about the technical details, but yeah, I think a lot of people like this, like when it was on the other platforms. It's a Ubisoft Connect game, so.
I can't believe it. I've talked so much shit about Ubisoft, and I bought another Ubisoft game.
Yeah, I know.
Just such a fucking. I am the problem, but
I don't know. Well, you're not buying all of the stuff, so
I don't know. I think the developers who worked on this game genuinely did a really good job.
Yeah,
so it's like,
I
want to support them, but I don't want to support Ubisoft, which is like really tough.
Well, I think realistically, you buy stuff for yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else.
Yeah,
really, and like you don't wear like, do I care about feeding this beast?
Well, before this came out, when it was just announced, I said, will this come with Steam achievements? And no, it has not come with Steam achievements. So everyone that's pissed off about Valhalla and Anno will now be pissed off about this.
Which is weird because there's achievements on the Uplay stuff. It's like, just port those over at least, surely.
Yeah, well, that's that was an hour of announcements for what's been coming out. Let's go on to the trailer section. So let's just jump straight in. Tony, what do you think of the state of Fortnite versus PUBG right now? So during the Game Awards, we saw Fortnite was getting Unreal Engine 5. They were adding Nanite and Lumen. It was running. I don't know if you've seen like any videos on Nanite and Lumen running on Fortnite, but it actually runs exceptionally well to a point where the console versions have Nanite and Lumen turned on, and they're not seeing like any noticeable like difference between the original, but like it looks really good, and it's not like having massive performance costs, which is insane.
It's good to see.
And then throughout the Game Awards, we got an advert for a free Grubhub vehicle skin in PUBG. What was it? Devolver did a tweet where they were like, I sent it to you.
Oh yeah.
What did you have to do to get it? It was insane. See if I can find it quickly.
Get a free Grubhub PUBG mobile skin when you order $12 or more from Wendy's on our tombstone.
They wanted that put on their tombstone after watching the Game Awards, yeah. Which I thought was hilarious. What day was that tweet from?
9th of December. I assume this is in GMT time because it's saying it's at 2 a.m, which sounds about right.
But get a free Grubhub PUBG must go when you order $12 for more from Wendy's on Tombstone. I have to fucking talk about this bullshit because I was like, this was the one part of the Geoff Awards where I was like, nobody wants this shit.
There's a couple of like small things like that. It's like, why are you showing these like really weird? But this was the most egregious one.
So this was the award show where where MILF Hunter got his free Steam Deck.
Yeah.
If you don't know,
Toxic Andy.
every minute of the Geoff Awards that was on, a Steam Deck was given away to people who registered and watched on the Steam live stream version.
And we were both registered. You want a Steam Deck?
No, the MVP of the
Oh.
Geoff Awards was the God of War voice actor for doing a speech for like 10 minutes. And Al Pacino being unable to read the teleprompter and having no idea where he was, and just being like, I love video games.
Yeah.
Who were just stalling like motherfuckers.
Why was Al Pacino there again? I can't even remember.
He was paid a bunch of money to be there.
But like, he wasn't like. But yeah, other than that, like, we wasn't like attached to anything, or like he wasn't like.
No, he was paid a bunch of money to be there. That's how these award shows work.
Okay.
When it comes to celebrities.
Interesting.
But yeah. One thing to mention. Apparently, Steam was so happy with how the event went, they just emailed a bunch of people who didn't get Steam Decks and gave out more Steam Decks after the event.
Okay.
I don't know if that says...
What?
I don't know if that says, like, based on the event and based on how many emails they sent, they went, fuck, we've got a lot of Steam Decks lying around, maybe we need to just give these out to people?
I have a funny feeling. I feel the opposite is kind of true. That I think yes, they had lots of Steam Decks lying around, but I think they saw like how many people like signed up to watch it on Steam instead of like on Twitch.
I feel like lots of people...
oh shit, a lot of people are going to buy this if we give them out.
I feel like lots of people will be like, fuck... I feel like I'm in this camp. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want a Steam Deck, but fuck no, I'm not willing to buy a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I know, but there's so many people watching it. Like a lot of people will go, "Oh, I'll buy a Steam Deck." And I feel like it is good press, and it's like it will like be in people's minds for longer if they do this. I don't know. I think it's like it's a marketing strategy.
Among Us got an official hide and seek mode, which I think is really cool because as someone who played Among Us, we used to play hide and seek all the time. Essentially, you would turn the vision right down on the imposter, and he'd run around trying to kill all the crewmates while we hid. Cool. But they've actually made an official mode, which I think is really, really cool. Oh, apparently there's... I was right when I was talking about Among Us VR the other day. You can't do custom settings in the lobby. Apparently they've put out a roadmap recently where they eventually want to add custom lobby settings for Among Us VR, so that'll be coming later.
That'd be great, yeah.
Viewfinder was a game that was shown at... the game was... I think it was... It's F-Stop. Basically, I can't think of anyone. It's like Superliminal or F-Stop. The idea is you take these liminal spaces and you mix them around in different weird ways.
You take a picture, or you manipulate like a 2D picture and then move it into a 3D world that make that kind of messes with your mind.
Which I love these sort of games. You know, I'm a huge fan of Superliminal because the game's like 2 hours long and I have like 20 to 30 hours in the game just playing every single workshop map in that game.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I've been playing Portal again. I love like Portal, and do you know about F-Stop? The original idea of
I know a little. I saw that.
Portal 2 was going to be like a camera-based game with I've played a mod recently that is trying to recreate F-Stop inside Portal 2's workshop.
Oh really?
I'll talk about that in a Tangerine, or maybe when I talk about the Game of the Year award for the podcast. Where I talk about the mod of the year, I'll probably talk about that. But yeah. This looks really cool. This looks right up my alley. I believe it's coming to Steam as well. Let me double check that for you guys. Yeah, it's coming to Steam as well. It's not just PlayStation. It's Thunderful Games, which is like an indie publisher, and it's always nice to see indie publishers doing cool shit.
It is great.
Post-Trauma, I saw this and I was like, oh, they're showing a trailer for the new Silent Hill game again. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't Silent Hill. Essentially, it seems like there's a resurgence with like retro horror games now. We've had the remakes of the Resident Evil games. There's been a bunch of them in the indie scene, especially like the PSX horror games. It's like massively popular with Dread.
Yeah,
Dread
I
X.
was gonna say, 10 years ago, we had like a horror gamers. Like we kind of proved again that horror games could still be successful. And I think now, like, oh wait, we
proved you didn't have to make a first-person horror game with a billion jump scares to make an interesting horror game.
Yes, and now I think it's now re-exploring what made like horror games. Like I think like still people like still think like 90s horror games are still like some of the greatest ones. Like what can we learn from that? So yeah, I think this is really good. I think this is great.
coming to PC and Steam. Hellboy Web of Weird.
Oh, this was weird.
This was weird. It was a
Was
web
not
of
expecting
weird.
this.
I saw this and I was like, is this going to be like a story game? Because it looks very much like that comic book style. Immediately, you see like the artistic comic book style, and you see I was like, The Wolf Among Us 2?
It had like a werewolfy thing, right? Like, what the hell is this?
And then I saw Hellboy, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, immediately I was like, is it like a Telltale game? And then apparently it's a action-adventure roguelite. Like, it did not look like that was the direction it was going to go in at all. Like, we don't see gameplay. This is kind of gameplay, but there's no like UI or anything.
Yeah, I suppose it's like in engine trailer sort of thing.
But it's also being done in partnership with Dark Horse Comics, who are the people who do Hellboy. They also do one of my favorites, Spawn, as well.
Yeah,
which is a really, really cool
that was a pretty big when it comes to those sort of comics.
Is it Dark Horse that does Spawn? Or am I thinking of like different? I don't think no. Spawn is Image. Dark Horse is different. I'm mixing them. Like, I don't read comics, but I do like the media that comes from comics. Like I watch, like watching like the TV series and stuff like that. Yeah, that's why I'm getting confused. But Dark Horse does other interesting stuff. What did I watch recently of Dark Horse? Was it there's a Netflix show based on Dark Horse, isn't there? Called with like the bunch of super kids. I don't remember. I'll Umbrella Academy. That's Dark Horse, isn't it? Yeah, this looks like it could be really, really cool, but obviously we know like next to nothing about it.
No, I really like Hellboy stuff, so I'm really hoping this is good. Like it's been ages since we've seen like any Hellboy related stuff. So
next up we have, don't you guys have phones? Vampire Survivors is coming to mobile. The original full game for free for real. So Vampire Survivors is going. It costs £3 on Steam, but you can just play the full game on your mobile for free now. And the way they're doing this is it's not fully free. You can play it fully free with ads, or you can buy it to get rid of the ads, basically, like the old mobile model you would see.
How much did it get rid of the ads?
Let me look it up. App Store. Vampire Survivors on the App Store. It says free. And then is there a way to check how much it costs without launching the app?
That'd be useful to know. It's almost as if that should be a requirement to disclose this sort of information. App stores.
$5. It seems. Well, it's $5 on Steam. I think they increased the price recently because it went for the. I'm assuming it's going to cost the same as the Steam version, but I can't 100%.
Makes sense. If it's the full game, that makes sense.
But also, there was Vampire Survivor stuff news as well, because Vampire Survivors just launched DLC as well on the Steam version. I don't know how it's going to work with the mobile version, if there's going to be DLC on the iOS version as well, but there is DLC for the base game called Legacy of the Moonspell, which is for a game that costs £3, it is costing £1 per DLC. So if you're interested in playing more Vampire Survivors, there's a DLC you can play, which seems pretty cool. Great to support the devs as well, because I think this guy has been really, really cool. I've played a bit of Vampire Survivors as well. I think it's really, really fun. So yeah, I'd recommend that. So if you're like, I want to play Vampire Survivors, and I have a phone, and I don't want to spend £3 on Steam, you can play it for free on mobile now. Returnal is coming to PC. Surprised Picard face. Mild shock.
Mild shock.
You remember how there was that GeForce Now database leak that said, oh, all of these games are being built to be played on Steam, And when it got
And everyone
leaked,
then
every
said,
single
no.
company said, "No, this is not correct." Look, if we were going to make Spider-Man and Sackboy and Returnal coming out on PC, don't you think we would tell you? Wow, it looks like Returnal's coming to PC from House Marquee. So it
I'm
seems like,
excited for this though.
yeah, it looks really
Yeah, it's
cool.
funny.
And it seems like they're doing the thing again where they are enhancing it for the PC version as well. I think
Yeah.
so far Sony has done a very good job at bringing
Yeah.
their PlayStation exclusives over to PC, where they've brought over not just the PlayStation experience, but enhanced it for the PC's capabilities as well, which is really,
It sounds
really
like
cool to see.
they're choosing studios to port it well and like letting them just do it, and, like giving them the time and money to actually do it properly. For the most part, I think there's like some technical issues, obviously.
Well, they have like Nix's as like their dedicated
Yeah.
PC porting studio now. Which
Yeah,
is cool
and
to
it's
see.
really cool they've become that because they're really good at it.
There's also what are they called, like Jetpack Games or Jet. The one that did God of War on PC is also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, to Ion Galaxy as well, I think. Did one or does one?
But it sounds like that Sony's like maybe I don't want to maybe Sony too much, but like yeah, it's good that like that Sony has like these like, studios that are doing really good work. So
Anyway, that looks pretty cool. I can't wait to play that. Dead Cells is getting official Castlevania DLC. This one I was like,
yeah,
what? What the fuck is Konami doing? Okay. Like, officially Castlevania DLC from Konami?
What is a Konami?
I don't know. We talked about it in this podcast before, but it seems like Konami's kind of making a comeback, which is gonna be interesting to watch. Yeah, this is coming out
give
next
money
year.
to real devs and don't fuck it up. That's good, but I don't trust them.
It seems like there's going to be 2 new biomes where you can wield iconic Castlevania weapons and iconic Castlevania settings. And it'll still be the
so there's like a new storyline and 3 bosses. Okay, this is really cool.
Yeah, so also it says it's going to cost about
Dracula.
It also says it's going to cost about $10 for the DLC, which is more than their normal $5 for the DLC. But the scope of the DLC is quite a lot bigger than previous DLCs, as well as the inclusion of the Castlevania IP. I don't know if they're saying because it's Castlevania, we're making you pay more, or they're saying because it's Castlevania, they charged us more.
I think it's probably a mixture of both. Is that they're probably getting charged more. Is that let's also then make it a bigger experience, make it at least somewhat worthwhile.
Yes, I own Dead Cells, and I've never played it really. I think I've played it for like 30 minutes. Yeah, I played it for 0.2 hours.
This is a game I'd love to play on the Steam Deck, by the way.
Well, something I want to talk about was the fact that I feel like I've been growing more and more tired of roguelike games ever since I've been playing them over the years. But I was playing one roguelike game recently called Hades, and I finished it today, literally like an hour before the podcast or something. And that game is a masterpiece. It is fantastic. And I gotta say, like, I think one way it was described was people were saying it's like a roguelite for people who hate roguelites. And it's kind of true. Without going into it too much, you remember on my channel I had a video talking about the difference between a roguelike and a roguelite?
Yeah, like what Toad Biscuit suggested as like a difference.
And I think that game is very much a roguelite.
Yeah, 100%.
Where it has heavy like RPG leveling up mechanics. It takes away that idea of no progression permadeath sort of thing.
But it has it has like story beats because it can do that now.
Joe, why are you talking about Hades 2? Hades 2 has been announced.
Okay.
From Supergiant Games. So
can I just say YouTube thinks this is Hades 1 we're looking at here?
Because Hades 2 hasn't been added yet.
Okay.
I'm really fucking confused about the story of this, and I've just finished the game of Hades 1.
Yeah.
It seems like... So, the main character looks exactly like Zagreus, who is the son of Hades, who's trying to escape the underworld. This is not spoilers at this point,
No,
but it seems
that's just
like,
the intro.
based on the trailer of this, it seems like you're also one of Hades' children, and that makes no sense in terms of like the Hades stories, because where is this sister in the whole of the Hades? There's going to have to be some explanation of where this character comes from and how they relate into the
Um,
Hades story.
I believe in actual mythology. I think there's many. Hang on, I'll double check. But I think they have like multiple children. Yeah, Hades has 3 children.
Yeah, they're interesting. Well, in Hades 1, he only has one that we know of.
What's
That
the
you
name
play
of
as
what's the main character? I can never remember the
Zagreus.
Zagreus. Yeah, he's the 3rd child. So there's Macaria and Melano, the other 2.
This is really interesting. It seems like it's Witch Hades, which I'm down for. This looks really, really fun. So Apollo, God of Light. So which mythology is this? Still the Greek mythology, and you're just praying to different gods? You're gonna have different. It seems like very like witch based.
Yeah.
This is gonna be interesting to see. Without going too much into the story of Hades, it's going to be interesting what turn this takes, because obviously it has to have a very different story to the one in Hades, just based on how it works. So obviously we're going to need to know more about this. So my history of Supergiant games is I played Bastion years ago. I know everybody loves that game.
But you hate the combat.
I hate the combat in Bastion. I think like
what
stylistically,
the story?
And the story stuff's fine. I think the narration's really cool. And I felt the combat got a lot better towards the end of the game, but at that point it was the end of the game. But I gotta say, as someone who played a Supergiant game in 2011 and then played a Supergiant game 10 years later in Hades, holy shit, have they got a lot better at combat, it seems like, in those 10 years, because Hades is immediately very, very good at combat. So I am very excited about Hades 2. Looks really, really fun. I'm interested to try it out because I loved Hades 1. So interesting to see what they do with the sequel. But another interesting one, Judas.
Oh, I was going to quickly say that they're going to come out in early access like in 2023, and then I guess
on which game store?
Don't know.
Because Hades 1 was partially funded by Epic Games, which is why it was an Epic Games Store exclusive for a really long time.
It does not say, but I will say now that in the listing they've got both Epic and Steam on here, so I would assume there's going to be an Epic exclusivity deal again. Is my assumption.
Well, if it says Steam immediately, that says it's not an Epic exclusive. Because why would
I don't know what the timescale is though. So
I would assume it's not going to be. It seems like, I think out of all of the trailers we saw announced at this show, I think there was one Epic exclusive, and every single other one was coming to Steam. That was like a massive change from the previous game shows. It was like, oh, here's this really interesting game. It's an Epic exclusive. You can't play it. But let's move on. Judas official reveal trailer. So, immersive sim in space. So it seems like this is the Ken Levine's new studio's new game. If you don't know, Ken Levine is the old head of BioShock. At like Irrational Games. He was like a big force behind BioShock Infinite, and he received a lot of criticism from people based on the fact that the BioShock Infinite E3 trailer is quite different from the game as well. People saying, oh, it was downgraded or changed a lot from that. So we have to see if the game changes from the trailer here. Another thing was, there's been a lot of reports from developers that he has massive like vision creep where he's like, I want to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
An immersive sim as a genre, if you want to do too much stuff in one game, is the perfect genre to try and do that in, because there is so many like Prey 2017, System Shock, all those, those are the games where they just like, how the fuck did they fit all of this into this one game? So but there's been reports that because of his visions, there's been lots of crunch of people working under him, and also essentially they get to a point working on a game and you go, scrap the entire thing, we're starting again, I need this feature in it. And it's like, apparently there's rumors
rebuild it from the ground up.
He can be quite too ambitious and too hard to work with.
Yeah.
So it seems like one thing that really, really annoyed me was people like, finally, a immersive sim game in space, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, play Prey Set 2017. It is a fucking masterpiece. What do you mean we don't have an immersive sim game in space? What about System Shock? They're literally remaking System Shock, Night Dive Studios. I don't know, man. That annoyed me, because I was like, Prey 2017 is already an amazing game, and nobody's played it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I think it got marketed wrong, and then like it got then a bad taste in the review, and then it's a whole thing.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this one turns out.
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. Like, I let's hope there's no crunch and stuff, but it sounds like that's just like how he rolls. But I hope the game is at least good.
Bayonetta Origins: Syriza and the Lost Demon. This is coming out March 17th for the Switch.
Do you have any idea? I don't. Okay, I don't get this at all.
No. So this is a Bayonetta origin story. I think so. I looked slightly into this, but I still have no idea. People are saying the first few minutes of this were included as a secret chapter in Bayonetta 3. So this has been like alluded to like slightly, but I don't know what the fuck is going. Like, Bayonetta is a hack and slash, like Platinum Games type action game, and this seems like a weird, chibi, like slow narrative puzzle game. But I'm just
how
like,
she got her powers.
So I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, this is very different from what Platinum Games has done in the past. So is this even still Platinum Games? Let me double check that. Is there confirmation on
someone mentioned Platinum Games like in the Game Awards, but I don't know if they said that it was made by Platinum Games.
Just Google it and double check it now.
It comes out pretty soon. Like, it comes out in March of next year.
Yeah, so I think what happened was, because Bayonetta 3 came out this year, I think the idea is they were like, why don't we try making a smaller Bayonetta game in like a smaller, more experimental style? And if this is just conjecture, but it's like, if this doesn't go well, we can just go back to the old formula and just, do something. It seems like it is being developed by Platinum Games, so they are just trying something completely different.
It's not, to me, it's not something I'm like super interested in, like the style and stuff. Like, it seems weird. I really like the actual Bayonetta stuff. But I guess they want a different way of I don't know. I'll watch it, but I'm not.
I've never played Bayonetta yet. I think I own the original one when it got ported to Steam, but I've yet to play it yet.
Right.
I haven't
a little bit. Very
that many Japanese games in general.
Well, you hate Japan, so
I don't hate Japan.
You don't.
I was going to rectify that by just playing a bunch of. I was going to make a wheel just of Japanese.
The Japanese
games.
wheel.
The Japan wheel, yeah.
What is Japan? Hang on, I need to know what. I need to translate Japanese wheel.
You translate that.
Give me a moment. Well, hang on.
But it was going to have like Bayonetta, Resident Evil.
It's the Nihon hoīru.
Nihon hoīru. It was going to have like Yakuza, Super Monkey Ball, Killer 7, just loads of random Japanese games I've never played but have been interested to try. I thought that might be interesting. Next up we have Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, official Batman reveal. I thought this trailer was really cool.
Yeah,
This is the actual Rocksteady Batman game, not the Arkham Knight. What was it called?
the Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. That one was like the other studio that works under
Yeah,
the banner of like what are they called WB Games Montreal.
yeah.
This is Rocksteady, the guys who actually did the interesting
The
Batman
good
Arkham
stuff.
games. Yeah,
Although they still made the fourth one, which I still think I know it graphically looks more
the
impressive than Gotham, but I still have problems with it.
the fourth one's interesting because it's mixed. It was made to showcase what graphics could be, but there was no
Yeah,
game that could run it. Whereas Gotham Knights came out and it was awfully optimized and looked worse than
yeah. But
Gotham
I
Knight.
also have issues with the gameplay on the fourth one. So
Yeah, but I've talked about the gameplay trailers we saw previously for this game, and I was like, the gameplay
that's
for this
good.
game looks really, really fucking cool. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
think I was going to be interested in a Suicide Squad game based on the awful
Well,
film
yeah.
I saw.
To clarify, this is before like the Suicide Squad film came out, right? Like,
With
it's like
James Gunn, which I really, really
yeah.
like,
So
actually.
we were like, Suicide Squad is a shit series, and like no one's anything good with Suicide Squad. So, like we were like really concerned.
But apparently, I don't know if you know, but Kevin, the voice actor from like the Batman, the animated series, died like a couple months ago, even
Yeah,
this year. Apparently,
it
this
sucks.
is like one of the last things he worked on. So they have his voice in this game
Okay,
as Batman. The story is that the
this
Justice
is the
League has been
last Batman.
infected and has gone evil, and you have to take that. They only have the Suicide Squad left to take them down. Which I think the idea of evil Batman is fucking terrifying.
Yeah,
Where he
because
points
he's
at
overpowered when he doesn't kill people. If he can just kill people,
yeah, because she was like in the trailer, she's like, "Oh, he's
yeah,
captured the cop, but he's Batman. He won't kill him, and he just
he's
fucking
bad.
murders
He
him."
doesn't kill people.
But this game looks really, really cool. I'm really excited to see more about this. Next up, we had Earthblade, and I saw this, and I was like, "This kind of looks like an artsy platformer." And then it was like, "It's from the developers of Celeste," and I was like, "I'm
uh,
in." I've not played
I really like the
Celeste.
logo, by the way.
Um, I've not played Celeste, but everything I've seen about Celeste leads me to believe that I would very much enjoy it. As a
Mm.
big, big fan of platformers. So that seems really cool. And we were watching this, and from what I believe, Celeste is very much just you play levels and you sort of move from level to level sort of thing.
Yeah,
Whereas we were watching this, and I was like, this looks like it's a Metroidvania game. Like, it seems like it's a big, sprawling map that you have to explore.
yeah. We don't know because it could be just the way they're showing off the map,
Well,
but yeah, it looks like it the way that they've
based
connected
on the
it.
description on the YouTube video, I went and looked at it. It said it's a explore action platformer, is what they're
Yeah, I'm
calling
seeing
it.
that. Yeah,
So that could be a Metro, like their interpretation of a Metroidvania. It could be something
yeah,
slightly different.
or
But
like
it
a hybrid
seems
maybe
like
between the two.
there is going to be some exploration and like a big world, which is kind of interesting. I haven't played Celeste, but from what I've seen, it seems quite different from Celeste, which is interesting to see.
There's more. You also pointed out looks like there's more combat in this than there was
Mm.
in Celeste.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's not particularly combat heavy either.
Yeah, it's like a little bit, but not. It's like mostly about platforming.
Yeah, like precision platforming, I believe, is what
And
Celeste
this
is
has
about.
like obvious, like obviously you need to dodge enemies and things, but there's like obvious combat sections as well.
Somebody said, Maddie Force are making another Metroidvania. It's quite possibly the greatest video game announcement ever. What else have they done? Look. They make something else that was a Metroidvania? Is Celeste a Metroidvania? I don't think it is, but they made another game called Towerfall. The archery combat platformer up to 4 players. My only experience with Towerfall is that I think Linus plays it with his son, and I have no idea anything else about the game, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that looks really cool. Next up, we have Star Wars Jedi Survivor as our first look at the new Jedi game. on March 17th, 2023. So this the start of so this is what happened last year. Everyone was like, the start of 2020 is gonna the 2022 is the year we're in. So the start of
Yeah.
2022 is gonna be packed. Look at all these games that are releasing in like February, March of next year. And then what happened was they were all delayed. So I'm just assuming everything is coming out in Q1 of next year, like February, March time or whatever. It's just gonna be delayed. So I don't think any of these games are all gonna be stacked on top of each other. But this looks really fun.
I would say that I'm really excited for this because the previous game Fallen Order is very fun, and it looks like they've added some more interest to like getting around the world and stuff like, which they were already good at in the first game, but it looks like they're trying to add more. And 2 lightsabers, Joe? That's never I've never seen that before.
Twice the lightsabers.
Twice the lightsaber.
16 times the detail. I mean, the big game I'm really excited for 2023. We've got to talk about it. Starfield. They showed it off 3 times in the Xbox Game Pass trailer at the Geoff Awards. They were like, look at these great games coming out from Microsoft. And they showed Starfield 3 times in the trailer.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it's like, what the fuck are they doing?
I don't know if you've heard this narrative, but people were saying this year has been really poor from Microsoft in terms of releases. Like, Microsoft has had no presence in original Microsoft games, and they had 0 presence in like new trailers for games. I mean, the only game I can think of that they released this year was Plague Tale, but I don't think that's an exclusive, right? Plague Tale Requiem?
I don't think that's an exclusive. Or didn't they just help fund it? Not. I guess that was the same difference.
Because Plague Tale Requiem, is that the new one? Yeah, that's the new one.
Yeah.
That came to PS5 as well. It came to PS5, it came to Switch, it came to Windows, it came to Series X and S. So that wasn't exclusive either, but it was one of Microsoft's original studios. But people have been saying, you know, Microsoft hasn't had a big presence this year, which is interesting to see because it feels like they've been putting everything into Games Pass. Games Pass has been the thing that they're really passionate about.
I will say I would give one caveat to that statement and instead say there's been a lot of DLCs and updates to the games in Games Pass.
Well, I think they've been doing a lot of stuff like with the Microsoft Activision Blizzard mergers. They've been doing lots of stuff with that, trying to get the games through, because people are saying like they're eventually going to have to increase the price of Games Pass because one thing that's going to happen when this Activision Blizzard thing goes through, what's going to happen is they're going to go, you can play the new Call of Duty game day 1 on Games Pass, and that amount of value is on itself is just going to have to increase the price of Games Pass because Call of Duty sells like crazy. Also, they could also do the thing where they say, hey, we're also going to make it so the WoW sub is now included in Games Pass, which I think is another huge thing that would massively increase adoption rate of Games Pass. And at that point, you would probably also have to increase the price.
I would expect different tiers at this point, kind of like what EA does. They have like the.
No, I don't like the idea of changing it to different segments.
But I have a funny thing that's what's going to happen.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, Tony,
want just one.
But EA Access is included with Games Pass.
Yeah, that's true.
And the one thing that annoys me is you can get EA Access through Steam, and it's a really good experience. And EA Access is part of Games Pass, but you can't get Games Pass on Steam. I feel like if you could get Games Pass on Steam, it would be an absolute no-brainer for every single gamer right now. Like, there are so many games on Games Pass where I'm like, I would love to play this, but I would have not a lot of interest in playing it again, or potentially playing it again. Where I'd just like love to try it on Games Pass and then potentially play it more or buy it later down the road if I wanted to.
Yeah, if you really enjoyed it, like, oh, it's actually way better, I'll actually buy it.
But the friction that is added with the Microsoft Store that I have used myself, I've talked about playing Sea of Thieves through the early versions of Games Pass and even trying out again in the later versions of Game Pass. I'm just like, I don't want to use the Microsoft Store. It is fucking awful.
Yeah.
And I think Games Pass will become a big thing when it gets added to Steam. I think that's the breaking point. Why am I talking about this while we're looking at Star Wars Jedi Survivor? I don't know. I don't have much to say about it. I haven't played the original
Well,
game.
it's gonna be on. It'll be on EA Access, right? So
Yes, which is part of Games Pass.
There you go.
The segue. It looks really cool. I really like that EA has allowed Respawn, their biggest multiplayer studio, because they became very, very popular with Apex Legends, and I assumed they would go down the route of, oh, everyone now works for Respawn, and you're now all working on Apex Legends. But it's
that would have been awful.
But actually, they were like, "Do you want to make a single-player Star Wars game?" And they were like, "Fuck yeah!" And they've been allowed to make this under EA, which I find really surprising, because I believe EA got shit on this year because they set out a post saying nobody plays single-player games anymore. Essentially, was like the sentiment of the meme they posted.
Jedi Fallen Order sold really fucking well.
Yeah. But yeah, this looks fun. Interested to see more about it. Death Stranding 2, guys, it's the second Strand-type game. It's finally here.
What do you mean?
That's what it says on the page.
Does it?
Go to the YouTube link. I didn't change that. It's called Death Stranding 2 working title.
Why?
It's supported by the Decima engine again, with support from Guerrilla Games. So, again, using that Horizon Forbidden Dawn West engine. You said you think it seems to be set after the first one, but
the clips here are definitely showing like before, but then they then at the end show stuff that I'm pretty sure is after.
So I don't know anything about Norman Reed's monster can verification baby game, but
in this woman though is like the first person you see in the intro thing, she kind of is there when you get knocked off your bike.
I think I've said this about Kojima before. I'm I don't know if I'm starting to find the Kojima worship kind of strange.
Yeah,
I get that the guy worked on Metal Gear and people love Metal Gear, and I
like his ideas, but the execution is always off for me.
I don't know. It seems like it could be fun, but from all the gameplay I've seen of Death Stranding, it seems like a UPS simulator where you just kind of walk around delivering parcels for no reason.
I think my understanding
is what the hell you're supposed to be doing in these games.
There's a couple of bosses in the original Death Stranding where it's I wish more of the game had this in. I hope they add more of the interesting stuff and less of the I can place ladders across a ravine and someone else put a ladder across a ravine and I can walk across it. Wow, innovative! That sounds amazing. No, it doesn't. I don't care what people say. I'm glad they had a good experience, but that sounds shit to me. It's a shame because I think the weird world and the weird visuals and stuff I think is a really big selling point, and I think it does look cool.
I don't know. I feel because I played Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes this year, and I played that and I was
prologue version basically.
Yeah, I played that and I was like, it feels like this guy just wants to make a movie, but is forced to be a game developer.
Yeah,
and from everything I've seen from him now, I'm like, this is not changing my mind about what I'm seeing. It just feels like he wants to make these big epic stories, and the game exists as a platform for those big epic stories.
Yeah. Which is a shame because before he was, I think because the studio forced him to have gameplay, and it's then he's because you get more and more his own vision, with less gameplay and more story. And it's that's a shame because you could have both. It's a game.
I don't know. I'm so excited that I can finally put the meme to rest that it's the first Strand type game. There's a second Strand type game now, guys. It's fun.
Why does this video say working title? That's not what it says in the trailer itself when we saw it.
Well, they might change the name. They're not 100% on Death Stranding 2. It might be Death Stranding.
We're not sure his Death Stranding thing is big on
that. They'll do a Go Simulator and it'll be called Death Stranding 3.
Yeah.
Just to confuse you. Anyway, we have Immortals of Avium official trailer. Wizard FPS, I'm down, but no gameplay.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this quickly. It seems like it's a Wizard FPS. There's not a lot of Wizard FPS games. I love FPS games. I think Wizards are cool. If this is cool, then I'm down. Unreal Engine 5 coming out next year. Next up we have... Why have I put Returnal in here twice? Returnal's coming out on PC, guys. I don't know if you know about this. It's coming PC early 2023. But I also put here The Last of Us 1 remaster that's coming out. It's coming to PC on March the 3rd as well, guys.
Oh, nice.
The Last of Us is coming to PC as well. Which
I'm still yet to play The Last of Us.
Yeah, me too. So I can play it on PC. Skydance Interactive came out with a VR game. VR game PCR is coming to MetaQuest, PC VR, and PSVR 2. It seems I was kind of confused by this. But it seems like some sort of medieval combat / giant fighting game. It seemed like based on the trailer.
Medieval. What's the Colossus game called?
Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, which I was like, if you get to fight a giant in VR, that sounds like it could be really cool. There's not many VR games that come out anymore. VR's kind of dead. But interesting to see someone try something. This next trailer, I watched it. I said, "What the fuck is?" I was like, "What the fuck is this game about?" And then it came up at the end, and it said, "This is a Transformers game." And I was like, "What the fuck? How is this a Transformers game?"
Because you kind of watch the trailer, and it's like, what? Like, who are these characters and things like who's on there? It's like, oh wait, we're from the perspective of a Transformer.
So it's so based from the website, it's a 1 to 4 player online action game, and it's being developed by the developer Splash Damage, who is the creator of games such as Brink, Dirty Bomb. They worked on Batman Arkham Origins as well, I assume as a support studio. What are you saying, Tony?
I don't know if you remember, like, from the original, like, Michael Bay Transformers, like, where they like Optimus shows like who the Decepticons are and who the Autobots are. They showed like their planet at war. In that in that flashback, they had like they showed
Cybertron.
Like, but it's like on fire. In that, as like they showed like Decepticons taking over, they have like these huge spire things. That invasion spire kind of reminds me of that. So I saw that like a Decepticon invasion.
It came up. It said Transformers. I was like, what the? So
I will say, rewatching the trailer, there are like Transformers writings I did not notice before.
So apparently there's going to be a closed beta for this in 2023. What do you think the gameplay? It says 1 to 4 player online action.
Yeah, game. What? Fight back against the Legion and Transformers.
Is it going to be like Left 4 Dead-y?
That sounds. I mean, they look more monstery than like robotic monsters, more than like organized Decepticons. So maybe.
Or is it going to be?
I am really.
Is it going to be like a mech game?
I don't know, because you're in like perspective of like a vehicle at one point, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think we have to see more. Like, I feel like we haven't seen like any real gameplay, if at all. Actually, this is all like CGI, like all like.
Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores announcement. So it's some sort of new region DLC for the new Horizon game coming 19th of April 2023 for PS5. Interesting to note, coming exclusively to the PS5. So Horizon Forbidden West came out on the PS4 and the PS5. But this DLC is exclusive to the PS5, so they're not held back by the PS4 limitations. I don't know how you feel about that.
From my understanding, is the base game, there's like signs of like they were struggling to try and make it for both platforms.
But I'm gonna put a hypothetical scenario to you.
Yeah.
You own a PS4.
Yeah.
You bought Horizon Forbidden West on PS4. A DLC comes out for the game. It's exclusive to PS5. How do you feel?
I guess I can't play it.
Kind of shit, right?
Yeah, but I'm not entitled to new DLC.
There's an expectation if DLC was released for a game on your platform that you would be able to play it on that platform. And I get that they're being held back by the PS4, but I think it's kind of scummy if you're releasing the base game on PS4 that you're making additional content for a game people own that can only be
I
accessed
think,
if they purchase on another system.
in my opinion, Scum is a little bit too far. I think it's disappointing for the players. I don't have a massive problem with this though.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because we don't own PlayStations that we're less like. I think, like imagine this.
Well,
I
can give an example. A console thing like Soul Calibur. I couldn't get DLC because it was only on Xbox. I could only get like the DLC for PS5.
Like for example, Horizon Forbidden West launches on Steam,
and
then they release a DLC, but it's exclusive to Epic. How would you feel about that?
Yeah, again, I'd be disappointed, but
okay.
I think it sucks. Like but I think this is more. I would argue this is more explainable than that. Like, there's no reason to do that between Steam and Epic. Whereas this is like a technical thing. I think it realistically, because the thing is, my solution to this is it sucks even more. I would have said do not release on PS4. That sucks even more.
This is what I would say. If you couldn't make the DLC for the PlayStation 4 version, you shouldn't have released the base game.
So you want to you just think less people should be able to play the game because of
which
DLC.
Sucks because the PS4 player base is still the majority of PlayStation users.
Yeah.
But it also sucks that the game and the graphics and stuff are being held back by the base PS4. It's an unwinnable situation, I think.
Unwinnable, and this is the best outcome.
But it kind of sucks on both sides.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be massively disappointed if I only owned a PS4 and was like, oh, I can't play this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's I would say this. I think the best case scenario, I don't think this is how this is going to work, but because technically, if you got a linked library, you can sort of import your PS4. Like you can play your PS4 version of the game you have on your PS5, but it's not the PS5 version. And it sucks that it's not just the same game that just gets upgraded if you upgrade to a PS5, because then you wouldn't have to buy the game again. You just buy a PS5, install the game you already paid for the PS4, then bought the DLC. But the way it works is you buy a PS5, you have to buy Horizon Forbidden West again, and then the DLC, which just sucks. So if you could just upgrade your like a PC, like if you upgrade your hardware, you still have the game. Like if that was how that worked, that'd be much better.
Yeah. Right. Next up, we have After Us, which me and you saw in it looks like a weird game.
Oh, it's this one.
It looks like it could be an artsy platformer. I was hoping it was an artsy platformer because I like artsy platformers. It could just be a weird story game that's more slow paced. We'll have to wait and see.
From what I could see of people moving, it seemed a lot slower.
It looks interesting. But I hope it's not like Journey, where it's all about the look of it and there's not a lot of substance in between.
We know it's coming to Steam though, so
yeah, which is cool to see. Maybe I'll
not Epic apparently.
I'll give this one another look when gameplay and reviews come out for it.
Yeah.
So this one could be interesting. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is coming out. This was really big for some people because it's a From Software game. If you don't know, From Software is hugely popular because of stuff like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro. Super popular for its action, combat sort of games, right? But they used to make third-person shooter mech video games with hardcore running out of fuel and mechanics multiplayer games for the early PlayStation to late PlayStation era. They released them on the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, and they had big gaps in between some of the later ones as well. I had never heard of Armored Core until this presentation.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't even know heard of the franchise.
I didn't even know it existed. If you told me From Software made mech games, I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't realize it was From Software made it, so this is... But I'm as a massive fan of mech games, I really hope... Because I want to say, from what I've seen of like Core, Armored Core games before, is like the trailers look really cool and the gameplay isn't as good. I'm hoping, obviously, the visuals won't be as good as this, but I'm hoping at least like has good visual appeal.
Because I saw From Software, and knowing nothing about the Armored Core games, I went, "Oh, they're gonna make Dark Souls with mechs," which I was like, "That could be really cool," but I don't think that's what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna go back to like that weird mech game thing where some people are really gonna like it, some people won't. I don't know if it'll be a game for me. I'm gonna have to wait because a lot of these we're just seeing cinematic trailers, so I'm like, I have no fucking idea what this game's even gonna be like.
Crazy that this trailer has 1.3 million views.
Well, people love From Software, right? And people really love. People really love this game from the nostalgia from the people who played it on their player bases on the PlayStation era, right? So it just feels weird now because this game has been dwarfed by the likes of Dark Souls, Sekiro, and especially this year Elden Ring has just dominated people's thoughts.
Yeah, 100%.
Next up this is a quick one. Wayfinder was an action, like a little ARPG game. It's from the creators of Darksiders Genesis and the League of Legends Ruined King game. Just like another action RPG thing. Airship Syndicate looks like it could be alright, but again, don't know too much about it. Could flop, could be good. This one's sort of like a coin flip, I guess. It's another ARPG looter sort of thing.
Is there microtransactions? That's my question.
Probably. The IGN video thinks it's World of Warcraft.
Yeah, this is World of Warcraft.
And then I put random shit on here. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty official trailer.
The Idris Elba trailer.
So Cyberpunk DLC got that guy from Star Trek, Idris Elba, to appear on the.
Well, you can't.
I can say he's from
that
Star
reference. It's true.
He plays the big bad guy in one of the
third one.
In the third Kelvin timeline ones, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films.
I'm
not very familiar with the J.J. Abrams films. I've seen the first one once. I don't remember much about them. I've seen at least part of the one that Idris Elba is in, which is why I remember he's in the film.
Right.
But maybe I'll go back and watch those J.J. Abrams Star Trek films.
I think
that's Tangerine about Star Trek. Go.
I was just going to quickly say the second one is not worth it whatsoever. The third one is okay. I think the first one is.
Me and you were watching Brave. I got a Paramount Plus month trial, and we were watching Brave New World, Strange New World, recently, and I was like, "This is kind of okay, but also not great."
I hate the first episode, but the rest of it was okay.
I've been watching Star Trek Prodigy, the Nickelodeon show, and I'm like, this is for kids, but it's also better Star Trek than a lot of the Star Trek that's been coming out recently.
Yeah, which is embarrassing.
Anyway, it seems like
the context say that this trailer, the Cyberpunk trailer, has 900,000 views, and that Armored Core has 1.3 million.
And people love Cyberpunk. There were so many
positive. No, but I'm just thinking Armored Core having more than this is crazy to me. Like,
I think
people love Cyberpunk.
People love Idris Elba as well.
Yeah, and yet Armored Core sells slightly more.
All I'm saying is, if they ever wanted to make Doctor Who or James Bond regenerate into Idris Elba, all I'm saying is, I think people would be very happy with that.
Yes, that's what I want. That's what we need.
And so it seems like they were teasing vehicle combat, which is something that doesn't exist in the base game of Cyberpunk. We know they're adding a brand new ray tracing mode that is going to be coming out as well. Other random announcements, they announced a weird Crash Bandicoot game that I thought looked really boring. I was like, they found a way to make Crash Bandicoot look really boring, and I was like, okay. I'll just read.
I can't even remember the trailer
if there's
now.
anything
but...
else that they showed that I was like,
No, I think you covered pretty much everything that's decent.
yeah.
You didn't mention a Joseph Farah though.
Joseph Farah announced an award, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Joseph Farah.
The final award.
He didn't do anything Joseph Pharisee, but the weird kid who got on stage was the rememberable thing from the event.
Right at the end, yeah.
Because, like, literally, the fucking Elden Ring guys walk up and they're all, like, Japanese, right, from software. And some random kid... I literally... Before anyone had noticed, I literally turned to you and I said, I don't think that kid is with From Software. What is he doing up there?
The other tell is as well that From Software went up before and that he wasn't there. So
yeah,
it was a bit sus. But he's like just pretending. Like, I guess the idea is like if you just pretend that you should be there, then no one will notice.
Act like you belong. I think that's the term.
But yeah, this podcast goes out to Bill Clinton.
Shout out to Rabbi Bill Clinton. Yeah. Jesus. Okay. Do we have time? I'm going to go over. We're almost at the 2 hour mark. I'm going to go over quick news very, very quickly because it's not too big.
Quick news.
Space Engineers is coming to the PS5 and PS4 for some reason.
Who's asking for this?
Halo, Master Chief Collection, and Pummel Party got workshop support, which is awesome to see. It means you can play custom campaigns on Halo, which is awesome. The Steam Winter Sale is starting November 22nd to January 5th. Goat Simulator 3 devs told players to run the Epic Games launcher through Steam for controller support, which is fucking hilarious. VR news. Gorilla Tag is now paid for new players on Steam, leaving early access soon. VR mode will launch as a free DLC of Resident Evil Village on PlayStation VR 2 on February 22nd. 2023. You have to use the mod on PC. It seems like they still won't release Resident Evil 7 VR or Resident Evil 8 VR off the PlayStation VR. And for some reason, Steam VR has removed sidebar support. This one is so confusing because they had this whole section of like it supports the Index, it supports the Vive, it supports the Rift, it supports seated, it supports standing and room scale. And they took the one thing that said it had track motion controllers, and this is now the only thing that tells you it's a VR game, which I find really fucking confusing. Why they removed this?
This is I've now started to see this, and I find it really difficult. Other than like the other warning saying that you need a VR headset to play this, like this is the only other thing that tells you it's VR. The old system was way better.
It was super fucking useful to know what games were going to run on which VR headsets. And from everything we've seen, it seems like so some people are like, oh, maybe they're removing this because they're going to add like a Steam Deck verified thing where it's like, this is verified for the Vive, this is verified for the Rift and stuff like that.
But isn't that what they already had though?
But it seems like a bunch of VR developers said, Valve did not tell us about this change, they have not said anything is coming to replace it, and then Valve put out a statement saying, yeah, we removed this, just add which games it supports inside the like game text underneath like the store page, which is like an awful way to do it because it's really hard to like quickly look that stuff up, which is really important for purchasing decisions.
And it's up to the developers to do it, and there's some not so good developers that actually show that properly.
Steam downgraded the VR store of Steam for no reason, it seems like. Unless they're going to make it better someday for some reason, but they haven't.
Well, if that's the case, I would still say this: do the better thing first, then remove it, please and thank you.
Yeah. Let me find a Petermology. Last week I pulled up the Petermology tweet, and then I ended the podcast without reading it. I just realized.
Oh no.
Yeah. So let's pull up Petermology tweet. Imagine a game where it's game over if you cheat. Enemies know this and will try to give away obvious hints to the puzzles. Kill them before they provide the solution. That was the one that I put up last week, but I didn't read it, so I was like, I'll read it out this week.
Response to God of War?
Yeah, I feel like it is.
As a hilarious game, we have to like shoot someone, like someone's running at you, trying to tell you what the puzzle, the solution is. You shoot them would be hilarious and quite cathartic.
The Inbetween podcast, check us out, YouTube. I thought I changed this to have. I only put it on the no music version. Hang on, I didn't put it on the no music version, so you're hearing music right now. You got baited, guys. Okay, there you go. And Everything In Between podcast, youtube.com/and Everything In Between podcast if you want to check us out on YouTube. Twitch.tv/Gone if you want to watch live. @Gone1000 on Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter for some reason. Shows.ocast.com/Everything In Between podcast. The page has links to the Spotify and Apple podcast audio version on there as well. And we'll check you out next time. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.